Today, we're exploring what happens when a math teacher and a tech guru start a company to help students thrive. Co-founders Nick Coniglio and Marnie Stockman, best-selling authors of Lead It Like Lasso. Yep, you heard it. Thank Ted Lasso. They're at it again, folks. They just have a new book coming out called The Business of You. Join us as we discuss how to identify your passion, the importance of setting yourself apart, and the ability to tell your own story. Why successful individuals run their life like a business, and you as your own CFO. Would you invest in yourself? Join us as we dive into this to learn the answers to these questions and many more. Let's jump in. People Work is proud to present Strategic Shift, a podcast dedicated to exploring the future of work. Thank you for joining us as we hear stories of bold decisions and workforce innovations. I'm Christy Honeycutt, and I'm your host. Marnie, Nick, thanks so much for coming on the show. Where are you joining us from today?
I'm from Maryland.
And I am right side out Atlanta, Georgia.
Atlanta, Georgia. I am going to be in Atlanta, Georgia, speaking at a conference in January.
Excellent.
So we have got to connect. That'll be fun.
100%.
So Nick and Marnie, I know that my intro did not do you justice, but I would really love for each of you to introduce yourself to the audience and a little bit about what you guys do.
Sure. Well, I'm going to start with saying I started out as a high school math teacher and most recently have been the CEO of a software company that Nick and I built together and sold. So, but in the middle, Nick and I met at an ed tech company where I ran customer success and he ran support and many other departments. And that company got acquired multiple times until there was some core value clash. We really wanted to help our customers, and that is really not what we were being given the resources to do. So Nick said we should start a company to see if we can start a company. And so we did that. So I'm going to let Nick jump in and tell his part of the story so that he can connect the dots from there.
Yeah, Christy, my name is Nick Coniglio, and I should warn the listeners that I am the exact opposite of Marnie Stockman. She is extroverted, full of energy, and my roots are all about programming back when we used punch cards back in the day. But yeah, I've been in technology for almost my entire career, mostly in executive leadership and C-suite positions. Like Marnie said, she passed me the note, which wasn't really a note. It was a direct message saying, hey, this isn't what we signed up for. And I passed her the note back in a direct message and said, let's start a company to see if we can start a company. And with our core values, because there was that culture clash. And that's exactly what we did. We did that right before the pandemic started, when our entire go-to-market strategy was to attend live conferences. So we had to pivot. But long story short, in 3 years, bootstrap company, we went from nothing but a $16,000 investment of ourselves. We grew it to an 8-figure company. We exited that company because it wasn't really what we wanted to do. We really just wanted to learn, see if we could do it. But we had a lot of success, and we had a lot of people asking us about how we were successful. So we did what anybody thought they should do, right? We wrote a book about it, and we wrote a book called Lead It Like Lasso for a couple of reasons. One is because Marnie is the real world Ted Lasso. She's goofy. She's optimistic. She believes in helping people become their best versions, which is very Ted Lasso-esque.
We'll take that one.
But the second reason is because during those same 3 years that we started, scaled, and sold the company were the same 3 years that Ted Lasso aired. And it was something, as we watched it through a different lens. We didn't really watch it as a comedy, but we watched it as a master class on how to interact with other people. And we saw some of the similarities in what we did. And we also were pretty aspirational with some of the things that we saw in that show. So we took our leadership framework that we had been fine tuning for years, going back before we started our own company, and we married it to a sitcom on Apple TV Plus, of all things. So it's been great, though. It's been fun.
Yeah, that's how we landed with Lead It Like Lasso. And we really use that to then start what our passion has been the whole time. So we have now just released The Business of You, and we're building an app to go with that. So the Business of You book is what's sort of out and about and what we spend all of our days chatting about these days.
So the Business of You and the app, and I believe, Marnie, you had mentioned before the recording that the app was a little bit like a coach in your pocket. So can you tell us a little bit about, conceptualize that for us and bring it to life, and kind of like, where do you see this going in the next 2 years?
Yeah. So with my background as a teacher, tutor, and mentor, hundreds, maybe thousands of children have had some kind of forced conversation with me, and Nick having helped so many young folks fresh out of high school, fresh out of college, first jobs, as a leader, help them grow. We really have had so many conversations around what young adults need to be successful. Fortunately, in growing our business, we also have had so many conversations around what made us and other folks successful. And what we realized is that the really successful ones, whether they know it or not, run their life like a business. So they're not just the CEO of themselves, but they're the head of HR, they're the head of marketing, they're the head of sales, they're the head of finance. And we thought, one of the things that has always bothered me as an educator is I always wanted to be able to make sure everybody could have a career coach. And so Nick and I have talked a lot about wanting to be able to do a career coach at scale, and Nick's background in technology and then me joining him in technology, it made sense to, could we gamify this and make an app that would help students, figure out their best path. So we were at an airport after a Lead It Like Lasso presentation, and we were starting to write up, what should this app do? And as we're sketching it out, literally, I have the notebook still. I said, boy, this feels like we're writing one of those business fables. And Nick said, I got to run to the bathroom. So he ran to the bathroom, was right behind the gate. So he was back in, 60 seconds. And he said, I had a terrible idea. And I said, while you were in the bathroom? He said, actually, you had a terrible idea. And I said, maybe, but while you were in the bathroom, and how did you know? And he said, no, I think we should write the business fable. So that's how we started writing The Business of You, to tell the story so people could see themselves in that journey.
That's really beautiful. So then would your hope be to deploy this to the children? Like what ages are you targeting for this pocket coach? Because I love the term pocket coach. It was just great.
Yeah, I think the people that have read it to this point have, even people in their mid 30s, early 40s, have been like, hey, I got a lot out of this. But really our intended audience are the late teens to early 20s. It's those kids that have grown up really primarily on technology. They're being taught for the past 10 years, they've been taught to cite evidence and recite skills. They're not really taught how to tell their own story and how to stand out and differentiate yourself. So if you think about where we're at today, it's not a great job market.
Yeah.
And for the open positions, there are literally thousands of responses coming in through automation, through AI. And when they're coming in, it's so hard to distinguish between candidates, because everybody's using AI to update their resume and apply for these jobs. So our sweet spot are those young kids who are in high school, who are trying to stand out and get into college or get their first job, or college students who are really trying to get that first internship or get their first job out of college. Because we often talk about the fact that, you know what, even though we're surrounded by AI and automation and all this technology, the reality of it is that we're in the midst of a character revolution. Everything's being commoditized. It's so easy to pick up skills these days just through chatting with AI or taking some online course. The true differentiator, what's going to allow you to stand out, we think are the skills that we outline in the business of in the business of you, those soft skills, those interpersonal skills around telling your story, creating your brand, understanding how to ask the right questions, and surrounding yourself with what we call a personal board of advisors, those people that will challenge you and mentor you, and really push you to be the best version of yourself.
So I love what you said, Nick, and I'm thinking about my board of advisors, right? But I'm also thinking about my high school self.
Yeah.
I didn't know what color I wanted my hair to be that week, let alone what I wanted to do, right? I knew I liked cheerleading, knew I loved people. So how do you see this helping, or how do you see, because as a parent, I think this is awesome. And I would love to be able, because I mean, I've been in talent for 20 years and my kids still don't come to me for stuff that I could help them with in 2 seconds. They'll ask the neighbor before they'll ask me. So how do you get this in their hands, and how do you gamify it where they want to do it? Because I took a test in high school that said, hey, based on your attributes, you should be a bull rider. Yeah. Well, I am actually a really good mechanical bull rider. I've won a contest or two, but I don't know where it came out that should be my profession. So can you walk us through that?
Well, I think first of all, you point out one of the issues, which is these kids, they start in middle school. My son is now 21 years old, and I've been going through it the last 6 to 10 years, where they fill out this career interest survey, and all of a sudden they're placed in a track based on some fact that, they said, oh, I like staying in hotels. Oh, perfect. Hospitality is for you, right? Never mention the fact that it's really the travel that they liked. So, when we start going through the different departments of the business of you, the first department that we look at is HR. And we always put a personal development spin on it. And for us, HR is all about identifying the values that are important to you, and not just the values that are important to you, what demotivates you, because they're almost equally as powerful. Mm-hmm. But the trick here is, and you mentioned this, gamify, and thank you for doing that. In our book, Sydney meets a mentor who introduces Sydney, who's the lead character, to an app, and it's this app that presents Sydney with gamified challenges. So it's not like, oh my gosh, I just have to pick my top 3 core values and that's who I am. It's pitting core values against each other. It's ranking. It's gaining points for identifying what they are. And then, you know what? Once we start to identify who we are and we do the self-reflection, the next step is to start thinking about marketing and how to describe yourself in that way. And again, that's through gamified, it's through achievement, it's through interaction with community, because what we have seen, and as Marnie said, we've worked with just a ton of late teen, early 20s type individuals, is that this process and this methodology of challenging people and keeping them interested through gamification is the only way to get things done. If you just ask a late teen or early 20 to read a book and take action, probably not going to happen.
I mean, there's apps that read books for you now. So
yes. 100%.
100%. Well, I think that's so fascinating. And when you think about the framework, right, your, what did you guys call them? Your advisors, mm-hmm. and the different departments that you orchestrate of yourself. So if you're your own CEO and CFO, are there, out of those lanes, what's the top 3 that you would recommend that we focus on?
Well, I think the one that shocks students the most when we ask them the question is the CFO, Chief Financial Officer. I gave a graduation address and I talked through 5 of the departments. And so I'm facing 200 and some students. And when I ask them, as Chief Financial Officer of their life, would they invest in themselves? And I didn't just mean money. Nick and I talk about it in terms of, you don't just invest money, you invest your time. Mm-hmm. And the question, would you invest in your habits and behaviors to ensure that your business is going to grow? You could see it made some folks think. I am still very good at the checking for deer in the headlight versus panic versus, yeah, picking up what you're putting down look. And I definitely saw students think, oh, that is a new way to think about my own life. Would I invest in me? Is all that time scrolling making me a better business of myself? So that's my typical first pick. Nick, what would you say?
Well, I think understanding who you are is critically important. So the HR is a piece, but I already mentioned that. I
That's
think
the top one for sure.
Yeah, the whole notion of marketing, and we attack marketing from the perspective of storytelling. And there are all sorts of studies and research done around the effectiveness in storytelling. The one that we like to cite the most is that storytelling itself is 22 times more effective than reciting facts. And when we talk about career changers or college students looking for their internship or first job, or high school students looking for their job or getting into colleges, the whole notion of being able to tell a story so people can relate to it is critically important if you are looking to stand out and differentiate yourself. And our argument is, if you're not looking to stand out and differentiate yourself, you might as well just give up, because in today's world, it's just uber competitive with, hundreds of people applying for one position. So that whole notion of, understanding that your personal brand is important, that you have to tell a story, because if you don't tell a story, someone else is going to assume one or write one for you. So I think that is right behind. And you mentioned personal board advisors. That's critically important. We can go on and on here. But that's the one that pops into my mind.
Well, I geek out about this stuff all the time, because if you think about, look, I've been in the business 20 years, and I remember early in my career, I was told, oh, don't get on social media. That's really bad. We don't want that. And then now, if you look at it, people are paid for their brand. They're paid for their connections. There's jobs called creators. That wasn't a thing 20 years ago.
Yeah.
It was called marketing, right? But it's interesting, because now it's the flip side. And I met with a CEO of a communication firm, and I asked, what's one of the guidance that you would give somebody? And I was really shocked by what she said. There was two things. A, Google yourself. I took it a step further. I chatbot GPT'd myself, and indeed, I chatbot GPT'd you guys as well. I recommend everybody do that, because what it does is it pulls everything into like a nice synopsis, so you can see how you're showing up today. But the other thing she said is every single person should get a website with their name.
Yeah.
Because we're moving to more of an individual, like the individual matters, right? Because everybody is using technology and everybody is showing up and looking the same. Recruiters can't tell the difference from one candidate to another. So your point, Nick, to brand yourself and set yourself apart, that's the game changer, because what makes you special? But I love the thing that you said, Marnie, about the CFO made me think, would I invest in myself, and how am I spending my time? And I do. It's funny, because no one starts from zero. Everybody starts from their experience. It's like, how much time are you putting towards that experience that's going to pay dividends? And you see people that are successful, and people will say things like, must be nice. Well, pull back the curtain. How many hours did they work on the weekends and at night? And how often did they not sleep over their passion? So it's like an accumulation. So I'm here for what you guys are doing. This is great.
So, it takes 10 years to make an overnight success type of thing, right?
It does. You mean you don't wake up and say, got it?
Right. Exactly. I have not.
Marnie lies.
I wake up and say, let's go get it.
I love it. So, okay, so you guys have got the 2 books, and you've got the app coming out. And what else are you seeing in this? Like, are you seeing any trends? Because the big conversation right now, and to be frank, it's always been the conversation, is you have to go to college to have success. And then there's a different camp that says, and guys, I didn't finish. I had cancer and had my life path went a totally different direction. But it's, how do you determine those attributes so they can still be successful? And is your guidance the same for someone in college, a college graduate, versus somebody that's never going to go to college, that might be skills based, or, really good with their hands, or whatever that might be,
skills, trade, etc. So it really all comes down to understanding who you are and figuring that out for yourself and understanding your why, right? The value that you bring to the party. So that is critically important. And I can say that the beauty of writing this book with having our kids the age that they are, so mine are 24 and 26, is all of our kids listen to the book along the way. And oddly enough, in 1 3-week period, my 2 children and my daughter's boyfriend had conversations with me where I walked them through the business of you. And in a 3-week period, all 3 got new jobs in new fields and couldn't be happier. My daughter, for the record, was sitting on the beach in Hawaii working remotely in marketing. So most people are like, oh yes, living the best life, feels. And then she said she wasn't fulfilled. They weren't pushing her to do enough work. She's now a 4th grade teacher. Happy as a clam. Again, marketing still, selling English strategies to 4th graders. Her boyfriend had been doing cold calling sales so that he could work remotely. And he is now rebuilding an island off of Maryland. So Poplar Island, outdoors, loving it and working in his music. And my son went from being a mechanic where he did not love the fact that he was not allowed to fix the root problem of a car because of the profit-driven version of the way that they build out, etc. And he said, I love to work with my hands. I love to help people. I like to fix things. And he's now doing IT support in a school system where all he has to worry about is who's got the biggest problem and how can I help fix it? And he loves it. Long story into more long stories. That's what we've seen happen.
That's beautiful.
But I think it's fair to say that the trend is college isn't the only path any longer. I think that is 100% fair. And not that it ever was, but let's be honest, there was some bias out there. And I saw it as a hiring manager. I saw it, we require a degree and all this, at whatever university and whatever major that it might have. But I think it's becoming more clear on a daily basis that that's not the truth anymore. And some of the high schools are doing a better job in that they're not necessarily their intended outcome is not college like it used to be. Now it's being college and career ready. But we still see a gap out there, which is that they're still focusing so much on traditional skills and not as much on really the interpersonal, softer character, personal leadership type skills, because quite frankly, it's hard to measure and produce data on those types of things. But I know that the friends that I have that have their own companies, they have removed the restriction. They are finding the best candidate possible to fill the role, regardless of whether they have a 2-year degree, a 4-year degree, or even beyond, because the things that people are learning, my son's in his 4th year of college at this point. I love the fact that he went to college, but the reality of it is so much of what he learned at college is now accessible to learn at his laptop and through his MacBook these days. And there are other advantages to college, but there's also other advantages of just stepping right out into the real world and learning things as you go. So to answer your question, I think the trend is definitely changing. I hope it is, at least, because I think that makes sense.
Well, look, I know 5 years, 10 years ago, the trend was, I worked a lot in tech, was how do you get these technical components? How do you translate it into common speak for the rest of us, right? Whether it's selling tech, implementing tech, getting user adoption, customer success, how do you take the complex and simplify it? And those few and far between individuals that are tech enabled, that also know how to dumb it down for the rest of us, those are the real heroes. But now if you shift and you look at where we are today in the future of work, everybody's got AI. AI is doing something. You're either in it or you're not. You're either fearful or you're not. And so where we're going, and you're right, Nick, is like they can go to Corsica. They can go online and Google. They can go to PeopleWorks and get education. There's so many different places that you can be scrappy and get education, that the value of that college education and that debt people are starting to question it. But I think we're on the rise of emotional intelligence for
Yeah.
sure. I think the EIEQ, those are going to be our rock stars. And I love that. I mean, and yeah, guys, I turned 51 yesterday, and some of the things that you both have said, I'm like, oh, those are really good insights. I didn't think about it that way. I think we're in a place where we've just got to challenge each other as humans to do better and just kind of open up and find our joy, because when people are more purposeful, and be kind to each other too, right? Because not everybody's
sure.
working a job that they want to do. We were
Yeah.
at the restaurant the other night. There was 13 of us. That's a big party. It's late last minute. It was 9 o'clock at night. We all just came in from surfing. Yes, there's surf in Texas. It's mechanical waves, but there's surf. And I felt so bad for the waitress, because she was probably in her 60s, and it wasn't, you tell this lady's not doing this job because she wants to be a waitress. And just watching her juggle and struggle, it's like we need to usher in kindness, and we need to look at our community, whether they're in school and coming out of school, or, do you see your app and what you guys have created? Do you see that benefiting somebody my age or older that might be trying to figure out, what do I do with the rest of the back half of my life?
So it's interesting.
Yeah.
One of my
Marnie.
friends just turned 58, and she was trying to decide what she wants to do for the last 7 to 10 years of, a traditional career before she picks another something that she'll want to do. And she read the book as an advanced copy and said, oh my gosh, this helped me decide. She was kind of picking on 3 paths. And it really helped her decide how to tell what could be looked at as a disjointed path to get where she was. And she was able to pull the thread of who she really was to tell her story to get the job of her dreams. And I just had lunch with her last week, and she is loving life. And she has said, now I'm giving the book to my junior and senior in high school, and they're reading it, because they needed to learn for themselves. So I do think, like I said, she was trying to decide what to do next, and she used it to help guide her. What were you going to say, Nick?
Not that, but because I don't.
Well, that's because I had lunch with her, not you.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the principles that we cover, they apply to me. We learned as much thinking about writing through the book that has altered what we're doing moving forward in terms of marketing both the book and what's ultimately going to be the app. And I think anybody who reads it will see, activities and concepts in there. Like one of the things we talk about, although morbid, right? We talk about thinking about your legacy and the obituary writing exercise and how that provides bumper pads really on not only where you're at today, but everything that you do moving forward, whether that's a 60-year horizon or whether it's a 7 to 10-year horizon. It doesn't make a difference, because we all want to keep moving forward. At least I hope. That's my belief that, I'm 54 and I feel like I got a lot of years ahead of me, and I need to plan for that. And doing the self-reflection and the activities and thinking through the things that we outline in the book is just as useful for me as it is for my 21-year-old son, 100%.
I'll be interested to see, once you guys kind of launch and get your app out there and in the ether, the data you get back will be so helpful to like our larger community, because you're going to be able to, I'm hopeful that you'll be able to pull out some trends, right? Because we are working in a generational workforce. It's the first time in a long time that I've had people that I've worked with, 70-year-olds and 20-year-olds all at the same time, all on the same team. I'm a fan of that. I think it ushers in like really great collaboration and open mindsets. It also ushers in some conflict, because everybody's raised differently and has a different perspective on things. But when you can kind of put things down and look at it and see what's important, I think we learn from each other. So we're going to have you guys back. This is going to be a future episode to learn everything you learned.
We would love that.
Do you have any forecasting or anything that you see that you think would happen from what you guys are initiating now? Do you have like a synopsis of, I think X is going to happen?
In terms of just general, what the future workplace looks like, or specific to our projects?
To your projects, like, do you think that it's going to be, I could see it being adopted widely by high schools, right? I could see something like that. I could see it being a prep thing before college. I could see it being a prep thing before graduating college, but I'm just curious if you guys think it's going to be more popular like on the front half, the younger audience, or if you think you might get some adopters up at the end. They're like, I've been working. I don't know. I'm having my, what do we call it? COVID moment, post-COVID moment, post-election moment, whatever moment you want to call it. Like, did Stella get her groove back? Is she going to go into something totally different? Right. I mean, I'm afraid to have a private conversation with Marnie and read your book. I might be going to clown school. I don't really know.
That could be a blast. Trapeze school.
Yeah.
So I can tell you that we already have schools that are writing lesson plans to pilot the book in high schools to work with, sophomores, juniors to figure out what is it, college or career ready, or maybe both. Seniors that are writing their essays, that type of thing. We also have colleges. So we've got some book studies happening in colleges, and we've talked to career centers. We've talked with leadership programs. The seminar course, the freshman seminar course is a great place of like, maybe if they thought a little bit about getting it together, this would be helpful. So we very much believe that we would like to see this in the hands of every high school and college student, because we do feel like that would make a difference.
I mean, just talking to you guys for the past 30 minutes here has really opened my eyes. I know I'm going to be doing some meditation and thinking about how my CFO feels about how we're running our life and if I'm investing in the right areas.
Awesome.
It's great. Well, where can people, if our audience is listening to this and they're a student and they want to participate, how do they get involved? If they're an organization and they want to have you guys come speak, how do they reach out to you? What would you recommend?
So we've got a few options. All the options is what we have. So our website is thebusinessofyou.ai. If you go to the Blue app page and scroll down, you can sign the waiting list to get to the app, but that'll also send us an email, and then we can reach out and contact you that way. On social media, we are at Blue, the Business of You, all one word, all over the place. Our book is on Amazon. The beauty of that, if you get the book, there's a QR code right in there and you get all of this information written for you. And then we are both fairly easy to find on LinkedIn because our names are somewhat unique. So we're happy to connect with anyone. We hop on calls and chat with folks regularly, and we're always interested to see what paths people are taking. So we'd love to connect.
And you guys have forgive me if I'm wrong, you have a podcast. It's called, I wrote it down, Leadership Rules. Wait, was that it?
Yes. Yeah, that's it.
All right. And that's on all the basic streaming platforms, I presume.
It is.
Awesome. Well, if you guys want some more Marnie and Nick, it's Leadership Rules. I'm definitely going to go check out your podcast as well. Well, awesome. Before we drop, do you have any parting words for the audience?
Oh, I think we always talk about the most important project you'll ever work on is you. So keep that in mind and go do the work.
Marnie always steals my thunder. She knew I was going to say, you see how she just jumped right on it? I'm going to end with a story that we have in the book, which is as the mentor in the book was talking about the case where an individual, got a chance to speak to 1,000 people and get all the advice on what it takes to be successful. And the reality of it is he didn't get the right answer because all of their answers were their answers and not his. Everybody charts their own path. And I think it's so important to put the work in, whether you read our book or some other way, and do the reflection to make sure you understand what drives you so you can work on what Marnie said, which is the most important project, and that's you.
That was beautiful. And Marnie, you totally did steal it because I saw his eyebrow go up and then you went for it. I was like, ooh.
And the 6 wrinkles above it. So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for holding space for myself and the audience. And we're very grateful for the work that you're doing. So keep up the good work. And guys, go check them out. Thank you for listening. I'm your host, Christy Honeycutt. Be sure to subscribe to Strategic Shift so you never miss an episode. Tune in next time as we continue to explore innovation in the future of work. Until then, keep shifting.